For great ideas and practical tools you can start using tomorrow to grow your business and separate you from the competition, you've come to the right place. If you're into B2B marketing and sales, then welcome to the one and only B2B Marketing and Sales Podcast. With over 60 and counting total years in the trenches of businesses small and large, they have a plethora of knowledge and experience that generate you more leads, capture more clients, ring up more sales. Well, doggone it, just make you more money. How about that? Always thought-provoking, yet dubiously entertaining. Please welcome to their respective microphones across 3 time zones, your co-ringmasters, the Dave Loomis, and not the rock star, Steve Miller.
I love experiential marketing.
I know.
So, hey, everybody. Here we are.
Hello.
We are back. We are back.
Again.
We are old white guys. Now, I don't know if that's
year 2.
Is that supposed to be incorrect, like politically incorrect to say old white guys? Because that's what we are.
I guess it's a description.
Yeah, that's what we are. So I have no issues with that. So anyway,
Okay.
Welcome. Here we are.
That's good. That's good because it would be.
It would be. I don't want to be. It's. You know what? I have been accused of being un-PC or non-PC over and over and over again, and I really don't have any issue with that because you know what? Sometimes you just gotta laugh. You gotta have some fun. And just don't take yourself that seriously. Okay.
Right.
I understand.
Deep down, you're a good guy. You're a good guy. You're a good guy.
Okay. So as I was introducing us, hey everybody, this is Steve Miller, better known as Kelly Dad, Marketing Gunslinger. Welcome to the B2B Marketing and Sales Podcast.
He nailed it. Nailed the name. That's the hardest part of doing this podcast is getting the name right.
For me, you have never messed that up. And speaking of you, who am I? You are David Mayo, the voice. Oh crap! What was the other nickname? The dog? No, not the dog. I can't remember what it was. But Moose. You were the Moose.
Dave Loomis.
You were
Moose. Yeah, that's true.
You were Moose.
That is true. Moose.
Loomis. Welcome, my friend.
The mostest. Thank you very much.
Welcome.
So glad to be here today.
Be back.
Yes.
And
good day to be alive.
So,
and a great day to be talking about B2B marketing and sales, or sales and marketing.
I'll tell you what, every day is a great day to talk about B2B marketing.
Isn't it? Yeah. Isn't it? Yep.
Love it.
Yep.
Love it. We love it. Kay and I, my smoking hot wife, Kay.
We love it. Who is
absolutely spanking the world with her new book, Uncopyable Sales Secrets. And by the way, speaking of spanking the world, I know that your partner in crime, your other partner in crime, I'm one of your partners in crime. Your other partner in crime, Michelle Jones, man.
Yes.
That girl is she is just on fire. She's everywhere I turn.
Really?
Yeah. And she just started the new newsletter, right?
Yes, I saw that. Yep.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
So
subscribe to that, folks. It's at Creativate. Check it out.
Creativate.
Check it out.
Yeah,
Yep.
Yeah. It's fantastic. And she's so smart. And I'm just so impressed with some of these young people that we've been meeting with and talking to and stuff like that, that you and I have to really, really work to prove our worth.
Right. Yeah, we got to keep our game fresh.
Yeah, that's what I love about working with you is because we work really hard to keep our game fresh. I mean, we have a huge amount of experience between the two of us in sales, marketing, and branding. And that's all well and good, but it'd be stupid if every example, when we talk about examples, like we like if we were talking about, hey, do you remember that? Hey, Hey,
Oh,
buddy,
the
you remember those
Xerox
Chung
case,
King?
the
Do you remember those Chung King commercials
Oh yeah. Oh, definitely, definitely.
that Stan
Yeah.
Freberg did with his ad agency?
Uh-huh.
I mean, it's see, we can't do that.
Yeah.
We have to
Nobody
be
has any
right on
idea what we
top of
just
stuff.
talked about. Yeah, and we got to learn. We got to learn, keep learning new things.
Yep, absolutely. So today, we're going to talk about one of my favorite marketing tools, which is what is known as experiential marketing. Now, and I'm going to kind of kick this off by saying, I started my speaking career as an expert in trade show marketing to helping companies go, that were going to trade shows. And trade shows are, without question, probably one of the best known experiential marketing. Experiential marketing being, for the most part, you might say it's kind of a 3D thing. It's a live event or something like that. But also,
how would you define it for those who are not as familiar with it?
It doesn't necessarily fall under, say, the digital category. Okay. I would say that experiential marketing is something that is much more one-to-one. And I mean, you could still have a bunch of people. All right. So for example, if I use trade shows as an example of experiential marketing, of course, we know you go to trade shows and there could be, tens of thousands of people at the trade show, but ultimately it's all about you having a face-to-face conversation with a highly qualified prospect or a highly qualified vendor. Okay. And that's an experiential, experience. I don't know what other word to throw in there, but
yeah. My 6th grade teacher, Mrs. Dalzell, she said that you shouldn't define a term using the term itself.
I couldn't agree with her more.
You can't use the word experience
agree with her more.
To define.
I couldn't experience. Or can't. But unfortunately, that's the best I can do right now.
Okay, perfect.
So,
well, maybe give us an example. What's a good example from?
Well, I can give you. If I were to give you several examples to say, okay, these all fall under experiential marketing. Okay, so I've talked about trade shows being an experiential marketing.
Yeah.
Okay. Sporting events, for example, like recently, I played in a golf event that my now investment company, all right, handles our money now. They sponsored that and they had their customers. So it was a thank you to the customers, but at the same time, they encouraged they invited people who were prospects, and they also encouraged their customers to bring friends and things like that. And they put, and it was a wonderful event. It was a wonderful event. We had a great time. It was on a nice golf course, and we were all together. And the fact of the matter is that it was because of that event that Kay and I decided to move our portfolio over to them. It was good timing on our part, but if they had not had that event, they wouldn't have got our money. So
wow, great
and
great example.
Yeah. So you example. Got that. You've got you got even at a trade show, for example. Okay, I have one client who works in they have created this really robust software. I guess we call it apps now. They have this really robust app for businesses who are in what is known as the portable storage unit industry. And what I mean by that is like, when you go by a construction site. Yeah, you go by a construction site and you see like trailers.
Yeah.
And they're now the office of the
Yeah, yeah. I have a friend who was in that business.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and something that I didn't know until I started working with this company several years ago was that this is primarily run by mom and pop companies, although they manage millions of these containers, these like
Oh, right. Yeah, my friend managed, thousands of them.
yeah
Right. Yeah.
yeah. So and you know and so these
No-
people they're renting out stuff, right? I mean, they're renting these
Okay.
storage units out, or they're creating them into
Yeah.
offices or something like that, for people,
Right.
and
Right.
then they have to
Schools.
and then they have to manage that, right? They have to know where these
Okay.
things are and stuff like that. Well, apparently it was
Yeah.
always managed, by hand, you know, until my client came along and found this incredible need, and they created this app, this
Okay.
and so and they're just
But how is
knocking it
that?
out of the
How
park.
is that experiential? How is that
That's
experiential
not
marketing?
no what we did to help build their company was that at the annual trade show for this industry, okay, I got them to create an event that was attached to the trade show. Okay, so at night, when people are going out to dinner and everything like that, they
Yeah.
created an event. They rented a ballroom, and then they had dinner for everybody, and then they put on a demonstration, and they had their current clients come up and give testimonials and talk about this stuff, and they answered everybody's question. They just said, and we're going to stay here, we're going to answer all your questions about how you can manage your modular units better, okay, and where they are, because they
Yeah.
and that type of
Right.
stuff. And after the first time they did that, they increased the year-to-year sales increased by over 4,000%. It was when they first told me that, they called Kay and I to say, hey, we just want to let you guys know that because of this event we did, this experiential event we did, and with and I mean, we helped them with obviously we helped them with the rest of their marketing too, but that was kind of the focal point. And they said you're not going to believe this, but our
That's great.
our sales went up like 4,000%. And I said, guys, clearly you have a decimal wrong somewhere.
That's fantastic.
That doesn't make
That's great.
any sense.
So what's dawning on me here. Let's say that you knew of an individual who you wanted to meet with for basically a sales meeting.
Right.
And you called that person up on the phone, or you emailed them and you said, hey, can I stop by your office for a sales meeting? And they said yes. And you went to their office and you sat down with them face to face. That would be a face-to-face sales call. That would not be experiential marketing.
It's not experiential marketing.
No, it wouldn't be. But if you designed a different way to meet or spend time with that person, and to somehow transfer the information that you want to them, but in a creative way, in a different way.
Right.
That could be experiential marketing. And I think that's a cool way to think about it, which is like, challenge yourself as a marketer or a salesperson to have a sales meeting, but not in a traditional way. So how do you get in front of someone or a group of people without actually doing it the way you've always done it, right?
Well, I'll give you a couple of examples, because I mean, I just love doing stuff like this. When Kelly was growing up here in Seattle, and and I always wanted to expose her to the opportunities that women have in the world.
Oh, right.
As she was growing up, right?
Yes.
So then I asked myself the question, how can I use this challenge that I have to help Kelly. Is there a way for me to, turn this into something that helps my business?
Mm-hmm,
right?
mm-hmm.
And so what I did was I made a list of women in Seattle who were top of the game.
Right.
All right.
I
One was a president.
I think I've heard this story, but I don't know if it was on a previous episode or maybe it could have been offline. You might have told me offline.
We made a list of and I think the initial list was like 6 women who were extremely successful in business in the Seattle area. And I looked at them as being they're leaders in their own world, right? They have vast networks, so they're like influencers, things like that. And I wanted to grow my network, okay, of and be able to contact people locally. So we found there was one woman who was CEO of one of the largest banks in Seattle. Another woman was Sue Bird, who plays basketball for the Seattle Storm. She's a very famous basketball player. I think she just retired this year. She just retired. Very famous basketball player, but the contacts that she has in the sporting community, right?
Yeah.
As well as she's dealing with people who are hiring her as a spokesperson and stuff like that. Okay?
Yeah.
But there was, what'd you do? I mean, there was one of the news anchors, in Seattle, Gene Anderson, and anyway, so this group of people, right? So I'm thinking, okay, I would love to go connect with these people to get them to help me connect with more of the people in the Seattle area, all right? Because I thought, boy, this is just amazing. So with full my intention was to help them to get them to come and spend time with Kelly. So what I did was I approached every single one of these women, and I said, I have a daughter. I said, I'm a dad. My wife is a very successful salesperson, so we got that going for us. Okay. I said, but I'm also a dad who wants to expose my daughter to all the different opportunities that are out there for women, so that she doesn't just think she has to go down this one path. I want her to see the world, okay, as her oyster. And I want successful women to help her see that. And so I approached each one of these women with that message, and I said, if you will have lunch with my daughter, I will donate $2,000 to your favorite charity.
Excellent.
Every one of them accepted.
Would you say, okay, so that's experiential? Would you say that's experiential marketing?
Because it also connected me with these women.
Yeah,
because they wanted to know more about. Gee, what do your mom? What does your mom do? What does your dad do? And stuff like that. And when
Sure.
and I didn't go to any one of these lunches. Kay went with her to the lunches, so it was all women. All right, no, I didn't want any pretense to this being about dad. And it was amazing. I mean, it was just fantastic because they ended up connecting me with just tons of people, because they said this guy's this guy's really creative. Look at how this, look what he's doing, to help his daughter and stuff.
Yeah.
And that's a single example of what I would call a very creative experiential marketing.
Yeah, very, very. Speaking of daughters and experiential marketing, my daughter, Hannah, just started a new job in Florida. She moved to Florida, and she's working for a real estate company that has some specialty hotels that are art themed. So
Cool.
one example is the Art Ovation Hotel in Sarasota. And she was there last week. And she's in charge of her title is cultural curator. So she's going to be working with artists and getting new artists, and also putting on art events at these hotels. So one of the things was that they have an artist in residence every week at the hotel that interacts with the guests and actually creates a real piece of their artwork in real time at a gathering with the guests. And they watch. And she told me about this. She said it was amazing. And it's not schlocky either, because she said she loved this artwork. And I said, why don't you buy it? And she said, well, it's $8,000. So this is like, this is like some serious art. But that seems to me to be experiential marketing. They have another one.
It is, especially. Go ahead and finish. Yeah.
They have one in Daytona Beach that's NASCAR themed. And the entire inside of the whole hotel is NASCAR themed, and there's a race car in the lobby and all that kind of stuff. And you just, if you had to make a brainstorming list of what kind of events you could do, think that would be a long list. Because
so somebody who's listening to us right now is going, yeah, well, how does that help me? What do I do? See, and my response is, right. You get out there and you find out what's going on in your area. And then you look for ways to link your customers and prospects to those really unique experiences. It became so much part of our DNA here in our business that we actually formalized this type of thing by because we did a lot of consulting for big national trade associations, right? Mm-hmm. And so we created this kind of club of a group, and it was in the beginning it was 18 major trade associations who also owned huge trade shows in the United States. And what we did was this club is we turned this into a completely experiential connection with these people, where we would meet 3 times a year. And at each one of these meetings was in a different location in the United States. We would meet and we would go somewhere where I would say to these people, I would say, okay, you've got a trade show. You've got people coming to your trade show. Do you just want to be a trade show? Do you just want to be known as a trade show? Because another trade show can come up and start, biting you in the butt, and you're vulnerable. I said, but if you are able to take ideas and bring them back to your event that are unique, okay, that's a huge thing. And so for 20 years, we met 3 times a year for 20 years. And we went to places like, and I mean, it's easy to say, okay, yes, we had meetings at Disney World where you're going to go to Disney World, and at Disney World, and I paid Disney World to create a tour for us that talked about how to use experiential.
How do they create experiences?
That's
yes,
great.
Yes.
How to create experiences.
I love that.
Yeah.
I like your advice about looking around your area or where your customers are and thinking what things are going on and how can you make a connection. I was telling you before we started recording that in my little town of Chagrin Falls, Ohio, outside of Cleveland, there's an international documentary film festival going on this weekend. And it's very, very well known. There's all these international flags flying in this little historic town, and there's people milling around everywhere going to watch these documentaries in all these different venues. And what if What if, those kind of places, they're always going to hit you up for sponsorship so that you can get your logo, on the program or something like that. And it seems like money out the door. But what if you said to one of these kind of events, instead of doing that, what I'd really like to do is bring 25 people to your event, and you'd make some special thing out of it that included, a meal or maybe a discussion group with your customers, or figure out a way to link, what you do with one of the documentaries that's going on. I mean, just think out of the box.
Yeah.
People.
And I'll give you a perfect example. Okay. If I can only remember the name of my client. Precor.
Well, that's all right.
Precor. Okay.
Gotcha.
Precor fitness
Precor
equipment, right? So,
of course, know them well.
Yes. Yeah. So I'm consulting for Precor, and they're getting ready to go to the International Health Spa, health and anyway, the expo. It's in San Francisco, and they have contacted Precor, and they said, "Hey, would you sponsor our keynote speaker?" All right. And at that time, it was what's his name who wrote he wrote about got to have the right people on the bus.
Good to Great, Collins.
Yes, Jim Collins, not Jim Collins. Is it Jim Collins?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Good to Great. Okay, so he was going to be the keynote speaker, and they came to Precor, and they said, "Would you sponsor this?" So Precor called me, and they said, "Should we do this?" And I said, "Only if we can do this." And we did exactly what you're talking about. So what we did was we said, we said, all right, we will sponsor Jim Collins at the keynote, but we need Jim Collins to be available for 1 hour after the keynote with Precor and their top 50 customers.
Wow.
And all he's going to do, they're going to get together in a private room. He is going to do a Q&A with them. And then he's going to autograph books for every single one of these people. And he's going to get his picture taken with every single one of these people. And Collins came back. Collins his agent came back and said, "Oh my gosh, well, we got to charge you extra money." And I said, "How much more money?" And they said, $10,000. I said, "Done." Because the $10,000 was vastly better spend than the 50, to pay his fee.
Oh, yes.
So,
yes.
and to Precor, it was just a line item. It was no big deal. But the difference because those people, for the rest of the show, those people who were at that meeting with Jim Collins got their pictures taken, and we had those pictures framed and sent to these people. And I mean, it was amazing. I'm so glad you brought that up, because that I wasn't even thinking about that one.
Yeah.
But you see, that's a perfect example.
So here's another idea, which I think is kind of interesting, is that you could actually have in this age when employee retention is so important, you could have internal experiential marketing.
Oh, absolutely.
Because we have to market to our own people. And, how effective is an email that you give blast out to, employees saying, we're so thankful for you and blah, blah, blah. It's like a dime a dozen. But one of my clients that I work for, that's an architecture firm, the owner of the firm, there's a brother and sister, and the sister, the brother's the CEO, and the sister is the chief experience officer.
Okay.
And she is all about culture. She is all about client experience and relationships. And that's what she does. 100% of her time is spent doing that. and it's also on the internal side. So one example that's coming up is a Gratefulness Luncheon that happens simultaneously in multiple offices the week before Thanksgiving. And it's all about gratefulness to the employees and everybody, and also clients. And everybody gets notes that they have to write, and they have to write. Everybody in the entire company receives a note from someone else that says why they're grateful for that person. And every top client receives notes, multiple notes from the team that serves them to say that they're how grateful they are. And that's just, I won't go into a long story, but that's just the tip of a huge iceberg at just this one client of what they do. And, if you've got to intend it, you can't, just it's a mindset shift. It says, hey, every time you think about you've got to have a sales call or you've got to have contact, how can you do it differently? How can you do it more creatively? How can you create an experience around it to make it more memorable and impactful? And
you talk about employees, for example. Okay. And we might say, right now, somebody might be saying, well, what does this have to do with marketing and sales and branding and stuff like that? Well, the fact is,
marketing is everything you do.
It has a lot to do with that because you never know when an employee is going to have a contact with the customer, contact with the prospect, anything like that, and they have to walk the talk that you are asked. When you say to people, I have a brand new client. We're early in our relationship right now, and we were looking for what is the big branding promise that we want to deliver to people. Okay, and the branding promise that we want to deliver to people is very simply, and I'm not going to give you the total, but the key word is we are going to be your steward in this industry. Okay. So the word steward represents a lot of trust. Okay. That you're their right-hand guy, that type of thing, right? But now what happens? Now we're in the process of analyzing everything that's going on in the company that touches the customer. And we need to figure out, okay, how do we help steward? Because everybody has to be a steward. They all have to represent that. All right. So so going back in the past, for one time with one of my clients, we kind of had a similar situation, but the situation was more like, okay, these people have contact with the customers, but they get uncomfortable. They become concerned about how they respond and act and stuff like that, right?
Sure, yeah.
They were based in Chicago, and so I arranged a full day training with Second City, Chicago. Improv. Bingo.
Yep.
They gave them a 3-hour.
Always say yes.
They gave them a 3-hour training session on how to use improv, and then it was all on site at the Second City location in Chicago. It was hilarious. It was unbelievable. People were coming out of their shells. They're doing this improv, which is so hard to do. Until you start doing it, and then you start to realize, oh my gosh, I can do this, right? And and then in the they did the Second City did it for us in the morning, and then they we kept the room that we were using at Second City, and then in the afternoon I took them through, and we gave them situations that they might be in, and we let them practice and do role playing and everything like that, so that they and they're like going, oh, I can do this,
right.
I can do this. And that is experiential, and it is still experiential marketing, even if it's coming from an internal perspective. So
very powerful stuff. We should we should.
We're going to
stop this
package
right
this
now because we're
I can't tell you how cool this stuff is when you learn how to do it.
Keep on talking. Yep.
So, yeah, you're right. We're done.
Yeah, we could
I'm an evangelical.
Yeah, if you can't tell,
stuff.
folks, we love this topic. It's amazing, and for good reason, because it's so hard to cut through the clutter now. So hard. It just gets harder every day, every year that we are in this marketing business.
Yep.
So do something unique, something special. That's it. That's our last word. And I'm going to take us out.
Is this the end of the podcast?
Yeah.
I mean, is this? Are we done for? I mean, if we're done forever?
Well,
is
not
that what
forever.
It is?
No. Next week we'll be back.
Just want to make sure.
We'll be back next week.
Just
yeah. Just signing off for now. This is Dave.
That was cool because man, you had some good stuff.
Yeah.
You know what this reminds me of? I'm before you sign us off.
Okay.
And I'm going to say something.
False alarm, folks. False alarm.
Yeah. But all right, because you know what, my world has basically been around experiential marketing and really coming up with creative ideas for doing this stuff. Yeah. And and so I've always considered myself to be I'm just the king dog of this stuff. Mm-hmm. You just shared stuff that I was like, that is so cool. That is such a good idea. And that is so awesome. And it reminds me of one of my best clients. Been working with for a very long time, and owns a really nice size company. And we were doing online webinars, right? Which is experiential marketing. Okay. Where we are aiming, the target was, we're doing these very special online webinars to their top 50 customers. Okay. And we do these quarterly, right? But we're bringing people in that I can interview and stuff like that's experiential marketing as well. But I still remember after we did the very first one, and I had sold my client on this concept of doing this series, right? And I know he only did it because he trusted me. Okay, after all these years of working together, he trusted because I was spending his money, and afterwards he sent me an email, and I know it didn't come out worded right, but I absolutely loved it. I laughed so hard when I saw it. He said he in his email afterwards, he said, I got to tell you, you were better than I thought you were going to be.
Right. So I guess I surprised you.
That's what I'm saying. No,
I surprised you.
You have always surprised me. I have immense, respect for your knowledge and stuff. And I'm sorry, but this time you surprised me.
This show is it's like jazz, right?
Yeah.
Good jazz artists, riff off of each other.
You bet.
And they come up with some pretty good runs, pretty good things, right? And
I'll tell you what, if somebody out there, if you, this is going to be a shameless self-promotion for us. Okay. Are you looking for some new ideas on how you can separate yourself from the competition? This might be the way to go. But what you need to do, you need to hire us.
Yeah. And that would be a great idea.
And I mean,
that's investment number one.
I'm not going to pretend it's going to cost you, but
it'll be worth it.
What is the potential return?
Oh, huge.
This might be the best.
On that note.
Okay, I'm done.
On that note, He's finished. We're putting him on mute, and I'm going to say
That's
so
okay.
long, folks. This has been the B2B Marketing and Sales Podcast with Steve Miller and Dave Loomis, and we've enjoyed every minute of it. Come back soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the one and only B2B Marketing and Sales Podcast, the source for B2B marketing and sales insight. If you enjoyed the podcast, please be sure to subscribe and leave these old guys a 5-star rating. Check the show notes for any links and contact information. You can always contact us by going to b2bmarketingsalespodcast.com. Thank you, and keep on marketing, keep on selling.